Welcome to my living room, where I'm going to share with you some of the insights that have dropped in for me and why I'm taking a little bit of a reprieve and pulling back from the social media realm. It's interesting because I have been in social media for so long, and sometimes we don't even realize how it sucks us in, becomes a parasite, feeds off of us, and it literally drains us of our life force, that we become so addicted to being in the know, FOMO, fear of missing out. But you only live once, YOLO. So live in the YOLO more than the FOMO, because the reality is there's always going to be something to tug at you. It's going to feed off your emotions. It's going to feed off your traumas and your past pains. Because what attracts us is essentially what's coming from the inside of us. What we see in the world is a reflection of what's going on within us. If we're not attending to our innermost pains, our inner child, our innermost needs, then it will show up around us in the world and often catch us off guard because we haven't been paying attention to what's been going on within us. So this is why meditation is so important. The more you tune into what goes on within you, the less you go without. The more you're willing to face it, the less it will linger and fester. Face it so it doesn't fester, and don't let it linger longer. These are some of the things I like to say. This is my life, and this has been my experience. That the more I have tried to resist, the more things have persisted. The more I anticipate, the more I create. It's the law of attraction. The law of attraction failed to mention the unconscious focus of our attention. It's real easy to manifest. But if you're not in awareness of your own inner programming, your own below the surface, what's driving you forces, then you're going to feel like the world is happening to you as opposed to for you. The more you tune in and tap into what is your underlying program, what is your drive, what is the force that motivates you. It can be conscious or unconscious, it's still happening. Whether you take hold or it takes hold of you, that is the key to driving and taking the wheel to master your domain and master your life. It's about setting the intention and making your life on purpose intentionally. So when you intentionally set your sails in the direction the way you want them to be, you know that you're coming from a place of awareness. This is where I am. This is what I value. This is what I prioritize. This is what drives me to do what I do. When you're in alignment with your values, what's important to you, then you recognize what is motivating, what is drawing you, what is the fire that is burning within you, what is your passion. Pass on your passion. Passion is the spiraling force within us, the Kundalini rising, the fire within. So many people want to just kind of play small. They don't feel worthy of their own desires because of the world. You know, who were you before the world got a hold of you? Who were you until the world got a hold of you and told you what and who you should or shouldn't be? Don't should on yourself. Don't let anybody else should on you. Don't let anybody else try to dictate what is right for you. That's about you having an inner standing and being true and aligned to you and your heart and soul's purpose and path. We all have a role, no matter how small or how big. Don't think it has to be something more or less. Just follow your heart. When you can drop in from the head down to the heart, your life will unfold and creation will take care of the rest. It really is about tuning in to what you feel, because truth can only be felt, and it comes from the inside and is radiated out. We can say all we want to say, do all we want to do, but how true is it to you? We can come up with this sounds good on paper, but does it align with you? So if you ever come to one of my classes, one of the most important things is tapping into your body's wisdom, because your body is always telling on your mind. It is the best tattletale. It is how we use kinesiology to tell the truth, because the head cannot get out of its own way. It has to be tuned into the body. It is all about mind, body, spirit alignment. In order to tap into your soul, your path, your purpose, you have to tap into the whole mind, body, spirit, the breath you take in. So when it comes to the body, if your body is the slightest bit out of alignment, the spine is the foundation. And if the spine is out of alignment, that means the mind is out of alignment. If each vertebrae isn't stacked neatly over the others, and the shoulders aren't rolling back, opening up that heart space, creating more space in the lungs so that you can take in more of the spirit of life, we call it the prana, the life force, the breath. That is spirit. That's the true spirit. And that's taking God in every moment you inhale. God is giving you the gift of life, is breathing it into you. That's how much He loves you. But most people are in denial that they're even loved that much. So the more we can tap into and master the breath, we can master the mind through mastering the body. But until you get aligned, you'll find things just don't work out quite right. You'll notice things aren't quite the way you'd like them to be. And it really truly is about mind, body, soul alignment. It is really about how present in awareness are you of yourself? How present are you to all the beauty around you? Are you counting your blessings more than your problems? Where attention goes, energy flows. If you are focusing so much on problems, then that's what will be presented to you over and over again, because you become a magnet. That is the energy. Like attracts like. The more you're fixated on the negative, the more you draw in more to fixate on. The more you can change and shift your attention to the positive, the more you'll draw in of that. Like attracts like. It's not like you just polarize the opposite and you can't just say, well, the magnets, it's the negative attracts the positive. It's actually, for us, the positive attracts more positive and the negative attracts more negative. And if you are living in a negative space, and I've been there, to where you recognize how much, oh my gosh, I was just thinking about that. This is the year of instant manifestation. If you hadn't been paying attention already, I was just thinking about this and then poof, you're right there. That's it. It's being handed to you. The universe is actually showing up to you where you're at. And it's going to prove it time and time again. So you need to be really intentional this year. You need to really tap into, if you're not already doing the work, if you're not already doing magical meditations and being mindful of your mind and really tapping into the breath, it's going to catch you off your guard. You want to be intentional with everything you do. And that's from the moment you wake up. Setting a path, setting intention, also having a routine, a ritual in your life that keeps you intentional. When you have a routine, you have a ritual, you have a set habitual program to your day. Jumping in the shower, getting a cold shower, wakes you up because the cold invigorates you. It re-enlivens your cells. It brings the blood to the surface so that it can be oxygenated. It heals. So many people are like, oh my God, I don't like cold showers. Do you know how good a cold shower is for you? Try it. Try it for a week. Try it for a month. I challenge you, do something different. When you do something outside of your comfort zone, magic happens. Because nothing good comes in your comfort zone except for your comfort. And that doesn't mean it's comfortable. Isn't that ironic? We can say, oh, but I don't want to go outside of my comfort zone. But you want things that are outside of your reach, which are outside of your comfort zone. So the only way to receive is to compromise. Come to a promise with yourself. Extend yourself out of that bubble. Yes, we all live there in our own little personal bubbles. We think, oh, it'll just magically happen because I keep thinking about it. That's part of the truth, but it's not the whole truth. This is the year of taking action. This is the year of no longer talking the talk, but this is time to walk your talk. This is time to dance to your groove. Let the music move you in the direction of your best life. If you have been spending any amount of time complaining about anything, you need to stop. This is your chance to throw fear aside, to go in the direction of your dreams, to face fear and rise. Fear is face everything and rise. It is not run in the other direction because, oh, I'm afraid of it, and all these stories and the mental constructs that pop up. When we get fearful, we will talk ourselves out of doing things. But if you look through your past, I want you to look over this past year and write a list. What worked? What came as a result of you doing things outside of your comfort zone this past year? What did you learn about yourself over this past year? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Where do you need to grow more? Where do you need to work on yourself more? What is it you feel you could benefit from doing differently? Write all of this down. Journal it. Write until you can no longer write or can no longer think of anything. The best way to get to know yourself is to inquire. Don't try to figure other people out. That's a waste of time. This year, if you hadn't already been doing it, it's about you growing into you decoding, researching, intuitively, into me I see, creating that intimate relationship. You should know yourself so well that other people telling you about you is not a surprise. But a lot of times people hear compliments, they hear things from other people, and they're like, I didn't realize that. I didn't know that. They're caught off guard by the comments that people make about them. And the truth is you should already know that. Don't dismiss who you are. Don't play small or just like, oh no, I'm not beautiful. Oh no, my eyes aren't pretty. Oh no, this, don't poo-poo when people tell you what they see in you. Because you need to listen to the people closest to you, but don't always take it for 100% as value. Why I say that? Because some of your closest family and friends may say things that aren't the kindest. I don't want you to buy into the negative. I want you to recognize that there's perspective in everything. You take everything with a grain of salt. You're willing to hear what others are willing to share with you, because it takes a lot of trust when someone shares information with you. Even if they're negative, they're giving you an insight into them. Even a negative person who's sharing their negative views is giving you a clue of how they think of themselves and how they think of you. Because when someone is sharing with you, negative or positive anyway, I was sharing this the other day with my dad. I said, I don't care what anybody says. Anytime you're judging another person, it's really just you comparing yourself. What you compare yourself to another, you think is just a judgment, but all it is you comparing yourself to that person, what they're doing in their lives, and saying, I don't like that. Meaning it has nothing to do with the other person. You're using them as a baseline to judge on yourself more than the other person. You're saying, I would never do that. Well, that's not about you that they're doing it. That's their life. Don't judge them on their life. Just express that. You realize, wow, God bless them. I could never do that. But don't be so harsh and critical against that person, because you're just as much being harsh and critical against yourself. Or maybe even what you're really not saying, but it's being heard, is you don't feel worthy, or you don't feel valuable enough, or smart enough, or strong enough, or willing enough to do what that other person is doing. So people will judge others to uplift themselves and not even realize they're putting someone else down in their own way to elevate themselves. That is the worst way to elevate yourself. If anything, you should always be elevating others in a way that it gives you inspiration to maybe try harder for what you really want. And don't downplay it, acting like, oh, well, I would never do that. Well, maybe you want to do that, and what you're really saying is you just don't think you could. And it takes a really strong person, humble in themselves, to recognize that what they're really saying is, wow, I really admire that person. I'm judging them because I don't feel like I could do that. Because the average person is only putting someone else down because they don't know how to lift themselves up. And that's the toxicity that's in the world right now and in the collective around when others are judging and saying, you need to do this because I need you to do this, is because they're not strong enough in themselves to be able to honor you where you're at, because they don't honor themselves where they are at. When anybody is out there pointing a finger telling you what to do, it's because they're not comfortable with where they're at, and they need others around them to validate and go along in order for them to feel that they've even made the right choice for themselves. How crazy is that? Now think about it. You got a bunch of people trying to gaslight and tell you you're wrong for choosing what you choose because it's not what I choose. Narcissism at its finest. And it's being perpetuated in the world in such a way that it's actually being rewarded. It's disgusting. That's the unhealthy, toxic trauma that the collective is playing out in the world. Now, I personally don't seem to be exposed to that very often. And the reason being is because my bubble and my energy draws in people on the same wavelength. So I try to keep the conversations around what we can work toward that is uplifting for others, as opposed to degrading or demoralizing or gaslighting others. That's not my place. I'm not here to fight. And I'm certainly not here to comply, because I am a rebel at its finest. I have, throughout the course of my life, dealt with many a personality. We call it the cults of personality, especially in government and military environments where people in positions of perceived power get so power hungry, they feel they can do things beyond what is necessarily their power. And so they abuse it. And having witnessed that and experienced it in my life throughout my careers in the past, I knew something wasn't right. I knew it didn't align with my heart, and it certainly didn't register well in my body. And I was very naive. Even the times when people would try to put me under their thumb, tell me what to do just because they said so, I'm not a child. Don't tell me to do something just because you said so. If you have no substance, no meat, no real moral standing behind it, and you're just saying because I said so, even my mother couldn't even get away with that when I was a child. And the younger generations who understand this, these younger starseeds, you can't pull the wool over their eyes. They see right through you. So you may be one of those people who thinks you can just kind of point a finger, but you got three back at you. You cannot try to make others to do what you want them to do just because you said so. It just isn't going to fly, and that's not going to work in this next year or coming down the pipeline. Authoritarianism is not, it is misaligned with the collective consciousness. It is not heart-centered. It's all ego-based. There is no heart. There's no sensitivity about it. It's very insensitive. And when I woke up this morning, I was reminded, we have 5 senses. Do you know 5 is the number of transformation? Everything that nourishes you, everything that feeds you, not just food, comes in through your eyes, through your nose, your mouth, your ears, and your fingers, tactile. Everything you take in this world comes through your 5 senses. That is how you are programmed. Smells evoke memory. Sounds of music remind you of times. Melancholy. Your eyes, oh, look at that, the visuals, the taste of something. What do we do when we're in our senses? We're so sensitive, we don't realize it's evoking memories from our past. That's because we are melancholy. We are sensitive beings. And so when you watch a movie, you hear the news, you are influential. You are able to be influenced by them because they are anticipating and feeding off of your five senses. They know how to penetrate, how to influence you, because that's what they do. It is the art of seduction. It is the art of marketing. They do studies on this. Why do you think they have pre-screenings of movies and videos and shows with a separate group of people, and they mark them? Everything is orchestrated, people. If you don't know, it's basic psychology 101, but the average person hasn't taken a psychology class. You don't need to go do the research. Pick up a psychology book and read it. It will tell you all about manipulation and all about influence and cognitive dissonance and the way to penetrate and get into under your skin, into your mind, into your deepest traumas, because we are all addicted to our trauma and our drama. The people who tune into the television constantly needing to know, be in the know, this whole, I need to know what's going on in the world, that's you being addicted to the trauma. And if you don't hone in on it and you don't own it, it's gonna own you. And if you start parroting off what you're watching, then you know they penetrated you. They were able to manipulate you and seduce you into believing what they are teaching and telling, casting the spells. Because television is channeling information and programming you. Look at the words that are chosen. The words are the casting of the spells. Hollywood, the wands are made of the holly tree. And they wave them and they cast the spells. It's all about the numerology. It's all about the symbolism. It's all about entertaining and entertraining you to getting so deep within you, you don't even know that they're influencing you. Everything is seduction and influential knowledge and awareness. It's like, how can I get your attention? How can I make you look at me in the eyes? Listen to my voice. If I tune my voice to a certain frequency, you'll be even more entertained in listening to me. Think about the things that draw you in, the shows you like. I admit it because I know the things that I've watched over the period of years and how I used to love action, like the series Alias, because I like things that are across time. I've always liked spy movies. I've always enjoyed, like, even Dexter. Dexter's a really well done TV series, and there's a lot of underlying storylines in there that tell you a lot. And most of the stuff is all documentary anyway. It's always great information that gives you insight into what's really going on below the surface of our society, of the culture, because culture has the word cult in it, and you're marinating in it. We are all marinating in a paradigm, into a belief system. We've all been programmed since the moment of birth to believing in something and always having to prove ourselves. Told how we have to prove ourselves. And so we're trying to unlearn this need to show up and, oh no, this is who I am. Identity, cults of personalities. We're all actors on our own stage. Now the question is whether you're playing an extra or actually starring in main star in your own movie. It's up to you. So to be crystal clear in this new year, what is it you want to manifest? Again, like I said earlier, write your list. Be intentional. Set the intention for what it is you want to, you desire to create an experience. Nobody can do that for you unless you just throw your hands up to it and let it happen to you. But then you can't complain, because then that's when you give your power away. Looking around the world, I mean, so many of us who like to travel, the question is, we're not sure what's going to unfold. But we can influence it just as easily as we think it's being done to us, because everything's for us if we are willing to put our attention and focus our energy in the right way. There's nothing saying you can't travel. There's always a way. But you have to think outside the box, and that's what this next year is all about. How can you move in the direction of your dreams, doing it differently instead of the way you've always done it? So as you have written your list of what has worked in the past, throw out what hasn't. Don't even think about what didn't work. Just focus on what you know worked. And even beyond this past year, look at the past of your life. At times when you didn't think things would work out for you, but you did one thing differently and you were able to shift the way it turned out. Sometimes we have to remind ourselves of what in the past we were going through and overcame, to remind ourselves of the resilience and the strength that we really truly have within us. As we get older, we get a little bit more set in our ways, and it's a lot harder to create new patterns. It's a lot harder to reprogram these minds. And so, like, one of the reasons that I love Kundalini Yoga is that a lot of exercises we do, it's all about repatterning the brain by creating new neural pathways, by moving the body in such a way that the arms cross the midline, whether it's jumping jacks or, we're moving the arms up overhead, because the arms are the garbage pit of the mind, because you got to sweat it out, detoxify. That's the only way to get that junk out. When it really boils down to it, the only way to get through the mind is to work through the body. And when you tap into the body, you start to notice, oh my gosh, I got little niggles here and there. I got to kind of level up and realign myself. If you realign the body, the mind falls into line. But sometimes you have to really tap into it because you're so tuned out of it, or it's numbed out again altogether. How many of you out there suffer with chronic pain? I have been for many years, and I can tell you right now, pain has been my biggest teacher. That the pain that I feel is just knowing that tension is just vying for my attention. That I am that much stronger than my mind gives me credit. That the pain in my body is just a misalignment with a mental construct, with a belief, with the dogma that's still ringing around in my head. Anybody else out there? The moment you can finally throw your dogma out, your body starts to feel lighter. Your body lets go of those tension spots. When you recognize that a certain pain, because the body, every part of the body is registering with the beliefs. They are all connected. So, for example, the left side is the receiving side. The right side is the giving side. The masculine, the feminine, the moving forward is the joints, the holding back. Sometimes we're holding back. Our throat, for example, is our expression of self. It is our speaking our truth. It's our voice. Our heart and our lungs, grief. What do you hold so dear and true to you? What are you holding back from? Or even in the very back of your heart, in between the shoulder blades, you may have such a deep grief that it's way back there, that even you don't even realize how much it's driving you. The stomach is emotions, is willpower. I've dealt with a lot of stomach problems and digestion, chronic IBS, constipation. What is that for? Well, has a lot to do with perfectionism. I can tell you that for sure for myself. Perfectionism and the uncertainties and the being very hard on myself. And also because I'm a very emotional person, although I may not come across that way if you know me in person. I may come off a little bit standoffish. I may not be as affectionate with certain people because it takes me a little bit to allow someone into my space. And sometimes I'm really affectionate with some of my friends, and some I'm a little bit like cautious. I feel into everything. That's the nature of who I am. But I'm all about balance. And I am the people pleaser. I am the one who likes to make sure everyone is taken care of. I'm a Leo, so I have a big heart, and I'm all about bringing people together. It's all about putting people in right contact with each other. I'm also about giving, and that's my nature. But at this time in my life, I'm also about receiving. And so this is another thing in life. We have to notice our receptivity. Are we in survival mode or thrival mode? Survival mode means you're always worrying about yourself to the point where you don't even realize you're walking over others. And maybe those same people who are showing up to you, you're not reciprocating to them. And when you're in survival mode, you end up cutting off your own life support. So there are a lot of issues with the heart. There's a lot of issues with your breathing. There may be even some lower body chakra issues because when you're in survival mode, knees, hips, lower back, it's all about your security and your safety. And you're afraid that you're not going to be taken care of. When in reality, that's just a belief system you've got that you've got to work through. And if you're in that survival mode, you may not even realize you take advantage of others in the way that you don't want to be taken advantage of. Because often, if you're unconscious of your own behaviors, all the things you worry about people doing to you end up being the things you're doing to them. So then there's this whole, oh, woe is me pity party story going on. And I've witnessed this through people around me that complain and say how I don't want this to happen, but yet I witness them doing exactly what they don't want being done to them, doing it to others, as well as to me, because I experienced that. But this is because I'm so sensitive and I listen beyond the words. I'm tapping in and tuning into what a person is not saying as well as what they're saying, what they're demonstrating with their physical body, the language of their body, because body language, I'm telling you, tells you everything. Every inch your head is forward of the plumb line is 10 pounds of pressure in between the shoulder blades. And it's also showing your anticipation of the future rather than being present in this now moment. Then when it's tucked back here, you see these people who are like, oh, those are the people stuck in their past. Those are the ones that don't know how to be present because they're so stuck in the past. They're imprisoned in the past. They're carrying that heavy weight, right? So checking in with your own body language is very important this year because that's going to tell you everything you need to know about what you need to do to grow. Like I say, if something charges or triggers you, that's your work to do. It's not that the other person's doing it to you. They're just serving as the catalyst to poke and provoke and wake you up to your shit. Because all the shit you see out there is really the stuff that's going on within you. And seriously, I know for myself, there was a point in my life when I felt like the world was being done to me. When I lived in Italy and I had a boyfriend that was just what I perceived as sabotaging our relationship was really me just, look at what he's doing to me. No, look what he's doing to himself. Looking back, people would say, Lana, don't let him steal your joy. And at the time, because I was so caught up in my ego, no, look what he's doing to me. This is making me upset. And I should have known better, but I didn't. But I'm not going to shit on myself because I learned from all that. That the truth was, it wasn't being done to me. I was just sad to see that they were so hurt, that hurt people. Not that it was being done to me intentionally. It was that they didn't even realize how much they were hurting themselves. But those were the relationships that I healed the most from because it was when I came back to the United States and realized, oh my gosh, I'm starting to see where the pattern came from, how I even ended up in that type of relationship. And then I went through Anthony Robbins' Date with Destiny, and that changed my life because from the moment I did that program and then I went back to the same relationship because I was behaving differently, because I was showing up differently for myself, my boyfriend at the time started behaving differently and treating me completely different. By the time we broke up, we were in a good space. It was a cordial, mutual breakup. It wasn't anybody dumping each other. It was, we're in different spaces now. I love you. If you ever need me, I'm here. That's the way it should be. You should recognize it's not a competition. It should be a collaboration. Relationship is all about people coming together, not fighting against one another. And that's what we're seeing in the world. Instead of recognizing our common thread, which we all are part of, most people are seeing the differences and allowing that to keep them in division. So it's about getting crystal clear on what it is you want to manifest in this new year. It's recognizing your strengths, your talents, your abilities, and putting that into practice again. If you haven't been using those, return to what lights up your heart and your soul. Even the smallest action will contribute to the whole. Don't discount anything about yourself. Don't listen to the naysayers. Don't buy into the fear slayers. Don't buy into any of the propaganda. This is your turn. This is meant to be your year. If you really, really, truly value it, it is meant for you. If you don't, it will just go away. And you can continue the life you've been living, because that's always a choice. This is the beauty of this life. It's always a choice, and you get to choose to be the victim or the victor. But the moment you start saying, but this, but that, you're putting a butt in your own face. You're playing into the victimhood role. I'm still working through some of my own personal mental challenges. I'm still trying to navigate my life. I only speak from my personal experience. I know what I want to do and accomplish in this world. I know what I need. I have a lot of beautiful people in my world. But I also have some people who haven't always shown up for me the way I've shown up for them. And so in certain times, you have to trust people where they show themselves. You have to own where you've been holding out for people that aren't going to show up. It's not to get mad at them. It's not to get mad at yourself. You have to have forgiveness, because we all want to see the best in people. We don't necessarily want to see where they're really truly at. We want to see them beyond that. We want to envision them doing what we know in our hearts they're capable of. But until you allow them where they're at, they're not going to progress to where you want them to be. Because we kind of put each other in these little boxes. Like, well, they've always been that way. And we're kind of like, well, maybe they'll change. Maybe they'll change. Maybe they'll show me something different. If you keep that going and don't walk away, you'll never give them the opportunity to learn that maybe they need to work on something to even get to that point. Because there's a lot of people out there that will overpromise, underdeliver, and leave you hanging if you allow it. When you start trusting people through their behaviors rather than their verbiage, their words, okay, that person's not going to show up. It really sucks. I don't want to believe it, but then I'm going to own it. I'm going to accept it, and I'm going to move through it. I'm going to find a way around it. Because once you own and recognize even your own shortcomings and short-sightedness of other people, then you can also notice that that probably resides within you as well. We hold out for others because we would want someone else to do the same for us. That is essentially why we do that. When we're holding out thinking, well, maybe they'll do the right thing. I wouldn't want someone to hold anything against me just because I didn't show up and I said I was going to. That's not empowerment. That's enabling. And so in yourself, you just have to confront that aspect that's like, where in my life am I doing that to myself? Where am I not showing up to myself that others aren't showing up to me when they claim they will? And that's something I've had to work through in my own life. I typically am the person that people show up and ask for help and suggestion and advice and everything else. And I am the one that follows through. That's in my nature. I'm a generator. And that's why the generators, everybody loves having generators in their lives because we have tons of energy. We're givers. We're like I used to always say, like the Energizer Bunny, we keep going and going until we burn our batteries out. But there comes to be a point where we get frustrated with people who are like, oh yeah, let's do something. And then they turn around and they fizzle out like, okay, and we're like, okay, I'm ready. And they're like, oh, well, I wasn't. I was just talking about it right now. Like seriously, in my life, if you're telling me you're going to do something and you don't show up, I am going to admit, I really get sad, and it is discouraging. I don't want to hear someone lie to my face when they're lying to themselves. But that's the key, is recognizing where a person is versus where you want them to be. And really being able to recognize a person's patterns through how they've demonstrated themselves to you in the past. You know, 3 strikes you're out. First time, shame on you. Second time, shame on me. And the third one is usually fuck you. I'm always willing to give everyone a chance. And it's out of love and out of my heart. I want to believe everybody deserves the opportunity to show up and change. But if it's holding you up in your life, and that this is what this year is about, is really aligning with the right people that are going to support one another. It's not that you're just lining up with anybody. Be very discerning. Be very selective about the people you invite in your life. Don't just let anybody into your circle. Not everybody deserves access to you. Keep that in mind. Don't reveal all of your hopes, wishes, and dreams to just anybody either, because not everybody has your best interest at heart. I've done that before in my past, and I've also recognized when people were jealous. And I saw the daggers in the eyes, and I was like, oh, really? I didn't anticipate that, because I have a naive heart and soul that still believes in the good of all. And I'm probably not going to lose that anytime soon. It does suck when I experience those types of behaviors, and it's sad because it shows me how many hurt people out there don't understand by supporting another person, it's also supporting them as well. That it isn't about competition, there's plenty to go around. And that we should not be in competition with one another. If I can help you succeed or advance, that's going to help me succeed and advance, and vice versa. That's what this human collective consciousness needs to come together about. It's about success for one is success for all. That's my prayer in the world for this year. That people recognize the more of us that come together, we remember, we're concentrating that energy, harnessing the God source, concentration, focus, intention, instantiation, manifestation. The more we come together, the more powerful we truly are. What do you truly want to manifest in this world? What is it you want to experience? I want to be the queen bee and bring in the honey. I want to really make life sweet again, the sweet nectar, healing, rebirthing, returning to our source, our inner standing, our knowing, our gnosis. That has always been my vision, my quest, my goal in this life, is to awaken the truth within those around me. I'm not going to tell you what your truth is. You can't tell me what mine is. But I guarantee that they are very similar. It's up to you to tap into it for you. Don't go looking for gurus to tell you. If you don't know it or recognize it within yourself, you're not going to recognize it in another from them telling you. It's too cerebral to be told. It's an inner knowing. That's what gnosis is. It's a body wisdom, a somatic sensation. Because the wisdom of the body is how you know your truth. That's why kinesiology. That's why muscle testing and the true tapping into your truth is something can only be felt within you. That's why it's called an inner standing. Understanding is being under someone else. Inner standing is within yourself. And overstanding is going above and beyond. It's about you tapping into you. You getting to know you so intimately that you decode yourself down to the level of, oh, I see you, I see me in you. When you recognize yourself in the other and know that God is in all, then you recognize that Other is you reflected back as God's source, and you are the God source reflected back to them. See the other as you, recognize God in all, or you can't see God at all, and that true inner knowing is being reflected all around us. In order to get crystal clear, you got to know yourself in here. What you are focused on, consciously or unconsciously, is what you are experiencing and drawing to you. If you want more problems, focus on that. But I challenge you for this year, focus more on your blessings and draw more of that in than your problems. Don't look to solve things, look to create, look to expand, look to be in your aligned truth. Tap into your soul self, because truth is within you. You'll see it all around you, whether you like it or not. But what you see outside of you is also within you too. The good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful, all of it. And the true blessing of seeing it outside of yourself is it gives you an insight into what is going on within you in that moment. So if you're seeing something you don't want to see out in the world, that's your work to do within you. As I say, when you're triggered or caught off guard, that's your work to do, because that itself is testing you. It's not to react to, it's to respond with compassion, understanding, and owning it. Because when you own it, it won't own you. And if you allow it to take you out of your peace, then you're going to have to put the pieces back together again. Truth, 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 truth. So let's get clear in this new year. Tap into crystal clear vision so that you can manifest exactly what it is you want to experience. I believe in you. I believe in humanity, the collective consciousness. The truth is we are easily influenced through our 5 senses: hearing, tasting, smelling, touching. Did I say them all? Seeing. So we see it, we smell it, we taste it, we touch it, and we hear it. 5 senses. Number of transformation. We are tactile creatures. We like to see it, we like to taste it, we like to smell it. We're sensitive beings. Never dismiss a person being sensitive, because you'll know when they're insensitive. And so if anybody ever tells you you're too sensitive, that's always my comeback. You'd know if I was insensitive now, don't you? You would definitely know that. So you may not like my sensitivity because it's calling you out where you're at. That's typically a passive-aggressive gaslighting, when someone tells you you're too sensitive or tries to attack your character. Don't let them. Stand in your power. Own yourself and all that you are. When you are whole and you are owning everything about yourself, your dark, your light, you will shine that much more bright. And then they can't cut you out. Because when your light is so illuminated, it blinds them too. And nobody can attack your character at that point. Because you're owning your light, you can blind out the darkness that tries to stampede or stamp it out or try to expire your light and your flame. So pay attention to where your focus is. Be really mindful around who you're following, the energy you're allowing into your space, into your circle, the people you allow into your life. This year is going to be more about the people you align with. And as I said, align in your body to align to your mind. Get really, really crystal clear from the inside out. It's easier if you do the work inside than allowing the outside to influence you, because that's usually going to take you out of your peace, and you're going to have to start from the inside out anyway. This is why I love teaching and guiding through the rebirthings. I do them once a month at Yoga Village in Clearwater, Florida. If you can make it to those, I highly recommend it. They're super powerful, super healing. The more we can rebirth through the breath, through the movement, through the meditation, through the mindfulness and the presence of being, the more we align to our truth, our inner child gets healed, feels seen and heard, and we can reignite and bring that inner child into this existence and get more playful with life. Life is way too serious anyway. I mean, come on. When you were a kid, you used to look at adults, I know I did, and think, wow, they're way too serious. They need to lighten the hell up. That was me as a child. I don't know about anybody else. I'm still an adult who looks around at adults going, dude needs to lighten up and get the stick out of their ass. Just saying. Like, we should be here to help elevate and play with one another. Life is a divine dance. Let's get in rhythm with one another instead of out of sync. That's really what's going to put the golden age back into play. Because what we're living right now is a total degeneration of technology, of art, of architecture, of free energy sources. Like, how did we get here? We should be that much more advanced. To claim that we're so much more civilized and so much more advanced than we were in the past, I call bullshit. And the reason I do is because look at the old monuments and the old buildings made of marble and all these beautiful materials. Where did they have the technology to do that back then if we don't even have the technology and we're not doing it now? Somebody want to answer these questions for me? Because I got a whole lot of them. These are the conversations I like to have. How do we get back there? How do we get back to the living in harmony with nature? The idea that we have this whole green movement, which is another marketing ploy. The same companies destroying the planet are also going to come in and save it, right? And they're going to try to tell us that we are destroying the planet when the reality is, no, we're not. Mother Nature's a lot smarter than we're giving her credit for. And that to play on our emotions, once again, they will use saving the planet as their beacon of saviordom. They're here, we're such self-righteous, good people. Meanwhile, you're destroying the earth. Meanwhile, you're destroying humanity. Meanwhile, you're also cutting us down. See, get smarter. Don't buy into the bullshit. Don't buy into any of this crap. Because the truth is, you know it in your heart. You know the truth. You don't need anything out there to tell you. It's all within you. And when your bullshit meter goes off, trust it. It's not Murphy's Law. It's your inner guidance system. And each one of us, and I'm going to call it a niggle. This is my new word, by the way, niggle. The niggle is the common thread that always seems to remain present within us. When you get really quiet within yourself, do you notice the little niggle? It's like, wow, there's this common thread that's always with me. That common thread is in each and every one of us. And that common thread is what connects us to our soul tribe. It's why sometimes you look at someone and it's almost like there's an instant knowing when you meet each other. A spark in your eye, a feeling like deja vu, a feeling like I know you. Is it from this life? Is it from a past? My soul recognizes your soul. That's the instant niggle. How often do you feel the niggle arise within you? You're going to feel the niggle a lot more this year. It's all about the niggle, baby. I think it's adorable. And the niggle is also, where do you want to level up to, too? Because the common thread can take you through various tribes to another thread. It's Indra's web is another way to call it. And when you look at the commonalities that weave us together, this is humanity, this is a collective consciousness. It's our vibe, it's our tribe, it's our, I like to talk about the rainbow tribe. And when you know, you know. And that's a beautiful gift. You don't even have to question it, you'll just know. So get clear, crystal clear on your vision for this new year. Recognize the other as you and see God in all, because that's you too. I love you so much, and I hope that you like these videos enough to like, subscribe, pass it on, share my videos, but also click the little notification bell so that you get notified when I go live. I want to build up on this community. I need feedback. Should I start a web page? Should I start another group? Are you looking for mentorship? I'm here. I'm a lifestyle and wellness. I'm all about designing your life. And I will be coming with some programs over this next year. So whatever it is you need, I am here to serve. And pay attention. There are many influencers out there who only want to be served. They're not showing up to serve you. And I've noticed it from the people I've been around. They don't follow you unless they want something from you, but they don't reciprocate either. And then the same people who want people to follow them, they're not involved enough to show they care. So just pay attention to those who are in service and those who want to be served. And that's in your life and in the influencer realms too. Trust your heart and trust the niggle. Lots of love. Have an amazing evening. I love you. Blessings.